Welcome back to the Flyin podcast, everyone. We are excited to come to you here live on, I guess, now a Tuesday morning by the time you're listening to this. FC Cincinnati has their first trophy, boys. I am so pumped. We are the 2023 Supporters Shield champions. Sam, Zach, how are we doing tonight?
Yeah. Wow. What a feeling. Having silverware once again, just it feels really good. And I was texting you, Ryan, like the city needed this. The city of Cincinnati needed one of their major teams to do it, and it just so happened to be the last team to do it as well in FC Cincinnati. Just incredible.
Some may say it's not quite a trophy, but we'll maybe touch on that a little bit later. But no, I think it's what we've kind of built up to all throughout the season. I mean, we've all seen it, seeing the team kind of with the depth and the excitement around them, the new players. It's just been a thrilling adventure this season.
To follow it from step one to now, and to see the growth of the team like you speak on, and just to see how everyone came together, it's a testament to the coaching staff, to the players, to the fans for sticking through so many terrible years. I mean, we'll get to it later on in the podcast, but guys, we hit an ultimate moment here. I think this is pinnacle of FC Cincinnati so far. And I'm really excited that we still have more soccer to be played, So for those who are listening, maybe aren't as familiar, what we're referring to, the Supporters Shield crowns the league champion for the regular season. So FC Cincinnati has now clinched the most points, and they should be crowned as league champs, at least over the course of this regular season. Now, there's a postseason tournament for the MLS Cup where you can win, a tournament or a trophy for this as well. But Supporters Shield, being the best team, crowned over this time is awesome accomplishment. So, Sam, any more to touch, I guess, on what you are originally, I guess, feeling? I know we were just built up excitement like through Saturday night, Sunday. Like I couldn't sleep Saturday night. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, once again, like the feeling is just insane. Obviously, I'm sure we'll just continue to touch on it in this episode, but the fact that the whole city's, really just embrace this team. And even like the key pieces that have been around for a while, it's great to see kind of the relief on their face as well. Acosta, Hagelin, Vasquez, some of these guys that have been around since the dog days, and to see them kind of take a deep breath, if you will, just like, okay, like we've got one piece of silverware. And I was happy to, when I was watching the Apple TV, I believe it was the 360. They were talking to Vasquez after they popped the champagne and everything, and he was like, yeah, you guys are very much on point. Like we're not done. Like it's very much like on to the next one. Like we're gonna celebrate this and it's on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, seeing everybody just celebrate. I mean, even with the supporters groups waiting at the airport and just seeing the excitement and just like the familial love, right? Like everybody was just like in arms, like hugging, like it was just so good to see a city like just come together and win the supporter shield. But yeah, I mean,
For the supporters, I mean, like that is the most
right.
like, I think, I don't know, it just makes like a compelling point of like, look at how good our support has been. And then these guys are at the airport at 1 a.m. celebrating with the team for a trophy that is basically for the supporters. So pretty cool.
Yeah, you can't forget the supporters. I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Yeah. So, for those listen to the last podcast, we were very excited about this game against Toronto. It was on the road. To start out, I guess the lineup wise, no real shockers by any means. But just happy to see that we had our full squad. We had Salentano in goal, Barrial. We actually did have a little bit of a surprise with Ian Murphy playing left center back over Nick Hagelin. So shout out to him for earning that spot in such a big moment. We had Matt Miazga, Mosquera, Arias, who's now become just awesome in the back and at right back. Moreno, Obi, Lucho, Bupenza, and Vasquez. Just unbelievable lineup from top to bottom. Zach, me and you were sitting there looking at the lineup, and then they do kind of a breakdown of the Toronto one, and we're like, man, we are so fortunate to have the players that we do. I was looking at some of the Toronto guys, and it's number 85 and number 72, and it's like all of these young guys. I think there was a stat at one point that came on the screen that they've used 33 or 35 different players or something like that, which is close to a record for MLS over the course of a season. But I thought that was funny, the comparison.
Yeah, I mean the seeing the depth, like I said, I mean our depth, I mean maybe even our part of our two team could probably step in and still carry off a win. I mean, that's been the spine to our team to pull out those draws and those wins where we've needed them.
To your
So
point, I mean, we looked at the subs, and every single sub except for one had started a game in the regular season. And the one person that hadn't started in the MLS season started in a cup game. So unbelievable depth, to your point. Maybe we haven't used the most amount of people, but we've definitely utilized the people that we have in meaningful ways. So Sam, what were your initial thoughts, I guess, the first part of the game?
Yeah, I mean, to you guys' point, I thought this was the strongest lineup of the year, and or at least in the second half of the season, and it really showed on the field. I mean, we made their keeper work this entire game. 13 saves he had to make, which is, we're landing on him. And I know Ryan, you probably will touch a little bit later on the shots, but yeah, going into the game itself, first 10 minutes, we're not looking too hot. Toronto had a pretty decent chance. It was kind of a weird bicycle kick by the Toronto player.
Latif Blessing,
I don't think
yeah.
Celentano, I don't think Celentano would have gotten to it, but we got saved by the post there. Or else maybe the momentum in the first half, wouldn't have started like it did. But yeah, blessed to have that post right there.
It was a blessing, one might say.
That's
Shout out to the guy that had the shot on the goal. But you're right. I mean, it does hit the crossbar and it kind of wakes us up. You see in the first 15 minutes, like it kind of was a little bit shaky, but then to your point, we just started pouring on some shots and some opportunities. I made a special note. I think it was in like the 12th or 13th minute that we just had a really solid opportunity for Mosquera to score off of a corner. Ball comes in. Somehow he's up there, but I think he was up there on a free kick or on the corner and tries to play the ball across the goal. And Zach and I instantly were thinking, we were sitting next to each other, and I think Zach, you made the point. It's like, man, any other person that was there might have scored that, but because he's a center back, it doesn't go in. But it was opportunities like that I just started to feel and gain belief that we're going to get a goal.
Yeah, I think Ryan and I throughout the entire maybe first 30 minutes or so, before maybe after the first goal, but I mean for the first few minutes we were like, I like we were talking about score lines and predictions from last episode, and I was like, man, they're gonna get two. Just judging by how they were playing after that first 15 minutes, you were like, they were just hitting so many shots and like they were just near misses, and it kind of goes continues, and one goal after another, and we're like, oh crap, maybe my score line's gonna hit with 4-0 win. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the back line really, the starters with Murphy. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out, because I think with Hags, I think they're gonna see who can play better. I think they're gonna do a competition kind of thing to see who gets that start. I think that's gonna be really the biggest question going into the playoffs.
Yeah, Sam, I don't know. Zach was kind of referencing 28th minute, we get our first goal, and it had been building. Vasquez puts in a ball where, Barrial swings it in. How many times have we seen this year? Vasquez is left with some space because he checks off the defender, gets it down onto his foot and scores like that. You see the confidence, at least there. I think we had been kind of pressing him to do more in these past couple games, and he shows up in a big way in big moments. So were you happy to see that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't tell if Mascara got a touch on that when he was like trying to flick it back or
You might
not.
be right.
But
I think he might have. Yeah.
yeah, but so I thought it was an awkward finish by Vasquez with the left foot, but nonetheless, it gets in the back of the net. If I do recall, I think we had a corner like literally right before that in the 27th minute, and Moreno had like a similar chance. He just missed left, and I think it took a deflection, and we earned that corner, and Vasquez ends up putting it in. But yeah, great finish by Vasquez. Poacher's goal, first of two for this game.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that and then building on momentum, more shots, more shots. So, I mean, I'm going to put it out here now, as you kind of referenced earlier. We had the most shots in club history with 25, the previous being 22 against Colorado in 2021. With all of these shots, you got to get goals. I mean, I've always kind of said in the MLS, you need to score on your half chances. So, in the 35th minute, off a deflection from a shot from Bupenza, Vasquez is a poacher and just sits there, finds the spot in the defense, and capitalizes on that. So then we're up 2-0. You're feeling good. You're feeling like you got the shield in the first half, even, going up 2-0. But we can't forget that 2-0 is the most dangerous score in soccer. So kind of what follows from after there, I'll let you guys elaborate on a little bit more. But I was kind of in disbelief a little bit, not going to lie.
Yeah, so you're talking about 39th minute, Bernardeschi. I mean, he has kind of like a clean look at goal. A hard strike, but it was low and predictable. But Celentano, he just can't quite grasp it. Slips right through his hands, through his legs, and it's an easy cleanup goal for Osorio. Just kind of another one of those second half goals that Celentano has let up. That's been like, what are we doing there?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think really right after that goal, I think we quickly understood why Celentano is not playing in tournaments. I think it really that shot or that goal really got to him. You could tell he was kind of off a little bit, pretty much ever for the rest of the game. I noticed a couple saves or shots from Toronto where he just didn't feel confident in diving, maybe, if that's the right word. I don't know, but he just kind of felt lazy after that. So I think yeah, that was a real bummer on that goal.
He was a real head case. I mean, when Mascara comes over and slaps you on the back of the head after you make a mistake, like maybe that kind of got to him. We see a replay, and all of a sudden Zach leans over and he's like, "Did you see Mascara just slap him on the head after it?" And I'm like, I think he was trying to tell him, like, get your head in the game or something, but maybe that affected him a little bit. Because
concussion.
Yeah, I mean, what was it like within 10 minutes after that, right before the half, they get another goal. Sam, what'd you see out of that one?
Yeah, so once again, it was kind of a weird, goal. I think we've seen something similar to this happening where it was kind of like a no foul call that froze everybody on both sides, and it leads to another Toronto goal. But yeah, no foul on Bupenza. There was a slight push by the Toronto defender, but I thought, I mean, to be fair, Bupenza, I think, tried to sell it too much. And yeah, Toronto takes it. Bernardeschi again. Celentano gets a hand on it, just not enough of a paw, and Osorio once again with a nice little easy header to equalize.
Yeah, Celentano's got to do better.
Yeah, I think everybody, even at the bar, was like, "You've got to punch that harder than that little sissy hit
right to the middle of the goal." I mean, he left the guys like defenseless. I mean, you put it right into where those guys are going to be crashing for a cross anyway. So I don't know what he was thinking. I think he was kind of between trying to catch it and punch it and then just try to get something on it. But so, yeah, I mean, you're up 2-0, 36th minute, and then 45th minute you get to halftime and it's 2-2, and you're like, what just happened? Is this going to be another classic Cincinnati sports moment of not finishing in these chances or in these moments? But thankfully, little sneak peek in the second half, we end up getting a goal. But going into half, at least, I was a little bit nervous about that. But with all the chances that we created, the possession, I think we ended up having like 60-40, or actually probably like 65-35 going into half. So many shots, like Zach and I looked at each other and we're like, we're bound to get another goal at some point. So I didn't quite like lose the faith completely, but it did make you hesitate for a second. Shout out to Molly Malone's for having such a big, supporters contingent there. The Pride, I think, was there, watching the game all together, but that was kind of a cool atmosphere to see. It did shut us up though for a little bit. But the whole second half, it kind of builds back up. So we start creating a little bit more opportunities into the second half. Nothing that I can really remember stands out. We do. I was going to say, go
one
ahead.
Does. Yeah, one does. So the 63rd minute before, 63rd minute, it's Bupenza, Lucho, and Vasquez. Phenomenal play in the middle there. Exactly what you want to see from those three guys. It was beautiful. It was like a culmination of like all the FC Cincinnati, fans' dream, right? And Bupenza, first touch, like it was great to Lucho, then Lucho to Vasquez, and Vasquez just gives it right to the keeper. He just passes it to him.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It was so anticlimactic. It was like, oh my God, this could be the game-winning goal. Should give us
for
the
a hat
supporter
trick.
shield
For a hat trick too.
For a hat trick, and he passes it to him.
That's the same play that happened
we'll get
the game
next
before.
Chance. Like
it literally happened in the Charlotte game. I think Lucho plays the ball through, and and Vasquez just can't get his foot around it. It just gets caught underneath him, and he hits it right at the keeper.
Yeah, I think we were talked about that for 5 minutes about just finesse it around him. Like,
yeah,
it literally pass it around him. It's not hard, Vasquez. Come on now.
Yeah. I mean, later on in the game, we're already up. So, little surprise there. We'll kind of talk about that goal actually in a second, but Baji has a similar position and he puts it away. Now he was offside and it didn't count, but at least you could see what he was trying to do. And he needs to maybe talk to, Baji a little bit more. Vasquez does to get that down pat. But, man, I got to talk about this game-winning goal. What a beautiful interplay between Lucho and Bupenza. So FC is kind of attacking down the left side. Lucho does his classic take on some players. Bupenza has space between, I believe, the center backs and gets a ball that's kind of tight on his foot. He does well with keeping fairly good possession, sets himself up for kind of this half chance on his left foot, his stronger left foot, and just pockets into the side netting. And at that point, 72nd minute, I'm feeling pretty solid about, at least having a goal lead in that situation. But man, the whole place, the bar went crazy. We went crazy. We were pumped for it. So I was happy to see it.
Yeah, you watch that transition more in slow motion and you watch Bupenza's feet. The ability to take that little touch with his left foot to avoid the defender on the left and then finish in traffic like he does with his left is just that's one of the things that you watch it and you're like, yeah, that's why we got him, right? That right there, that finish was phenomenal, world class, really.
It's spot on, Sam. Like it was kind of jaw dropping. In my opinion, when I saw it, I was like, that he didn't just put that in because I mean, he flipped it over the person's foot, like the guy whiffed it, but I mean, just being able to finish.
Was that Michael Bradley that he scores on? I forget if that's exactly who it was, but they had Bradley playing center back at one point, but they moved him up to the midfield. I would have thought it was hilarious if we would have won, game-winning goal on Michael Bradley and Bupenza scores it, but I don't think it was. Yeah, but just unreal finish. Zach, did you see anything more after it? I think the guys in celebration just were going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, after that goal, I mean, the guys felt like they were, in my opinion, they seemed settle down and not make errant plays. I wish and you and I think even Sam has even mentioned this. It's like, why can't our team understand to just take it to the corner? Like, I understand we want another goal, but like
Yeah.
sometimes you just need to see out a game and not have the other team have possession of the ball. And this was kind of a situation, but thankfully we were able to, I mean, pull it off in the end. But I don't know what your thoughts were on that, Ryan.
Yeah, so you're right. We called for it so many times this year. Sam and I were at the Miami game and for Open Cup, and they should have killed that game off in the corner. And then finally towards the end, like Baji went down and I think held the ball up and killed some time. Kubo did the same. I think you had a little bit more experienced guys. And to be honest, for the Inter Miami game, we called for Baji to be able to play in that game to do that. Santos was the one that plays the ball away. I'm still a little frustrated by the fact that we took a corner that late in the game that could have led to a breakaway, but ends up being okay. The final play of the game, they get an attack down the side and they play a ball across the goal that Roman doesn't get, the defense doesn't get. Luckily, the guy on the back post just kind of completely whiffs at the ball or hits it over the goal, but that made me super nervous too. So you knew there was going to be some testing moments, especially with Toronto playing at home, even though they're not, they're the worst team in the league, but it was still a little nerve wracking. And especially because of how much we knew the game meant. And you for sure could tell the players knew about it as well. But in the end, we close it out, and that's all that mattered. You could see the players' instant gratification. They were just so elated. I think it's the crowning jewel for just an awesome season. So,
yeah, I this FC Cincinnati team, last time we still got a couple games left, but the 2021 season, they had 14 1-goal games. This season, this team seems to, make us a little bit nervous there at the end, but then end up pulling it off. They're actually 13-1 this season in 1-goal games. Last season was 6-6. 2021 was 2-12. So just year by year by year, just like started closing games away that were literally 1 goal from a draw, and kind of a disappointing draw in that matter.
Shout out to like all of the defense for like pulling through, and kind of collectively coming together in those clutch moments throughout the year. Probably lost a couple years off my life watching those games, but again, super happy, that we pull it off. The team celebrates on the field with some awesome shirts. Gary finally gets his shield. So shout out to Gary. He's already got his sword up here. But now he's got his shield. So definitely excited about that. And then the celebration in the locker room, commences after that. We could kind of do a little breakdown of that because that was something else. We were watching Instagram lives of the players celebrating. We were seeing Yerson Mosquera just doing some crazy dance moves.
Felt like I was seeing something I shouldn't.
It was wild.
Yeah.
They were having
that's usually how
time.
locker room celebrations up.
Yeah, I think they soaked that ceiling in the away locker room. I think they'll probably have to pay a fine, but we don't care at this point.
Well, it's one of those like when you go into a building and you see those like coffee looking stains on the roof there. Now there's gonna be like giant stains just like of these.
What happened in here?
Stains.
Oh, FC Cincinnati won the supporters shield in this room.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, I saw some cool things. One thing that stands out to me, Marco Angulo was crushing some Rheingeist. So they had Rheingeist in there. They had a little bit of Jack Daniels in there. Obviously, champagne was the drink of choice for everyone. But can we not like shout out how awesome those Oakley goggles were? Those were sick. I think it was, I think I saw Teddy Kerr, the kit manager, was the one that had custom ordered them. They had the FC Cincinnati Gary Lion on the back with each player's number. Just
That's awesome.
incredible
That's a great idea.
that, I mean, they just had a blast in that locker room. I think I
Yeah,
saw,
Ryan, I think the skier and you were really
oh
kind of
yeah.
jealous of those for
Well,
sure.
they were orange with the blue shirts. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
so cool. It was so cool. And then, you see, I think Pat Noonan was busting a smile out in the there, and he was on Lucho's Instagram live dropping F-bombs. I mean, it was funny. I think Jeff Birding was in there too, celebrating with the team. So, the two people, actually, this is kind of interesting. The two people that were from the 2018 clinching team, were Pat Birding, obviously the co-CEO of the team, and then the kit manager, Teddy Kerr, who I had mentioned earlier. Both of them were the only two remaining people from 2018. So that was cool that they've had now two celebrations with the club.
Yeah, I absolutely love to see that, like you had mentioned, I think here in the game notes, but first team ever to win a supporter shield in the USL and in the MLS. Never been done before. FC Cincinnati has it.
Records. It's amazing.
I don't know what it's like to win. Never been on a winning team.
So what I was going to ask you guys is, in the locker room celebrations, like, who would you be? You see Bupenza's carrying the boombox and celebrating. You have Lucho's on Instagram live, looking at all his friends' comments and everything. Nick Haglin's going crazy because, shout out to Nick. He won MLS Cup in Toronto. Now he gets to celebrate Supporter Shield in Toronto for FC Cincinnati. There's so many like funny things that happen. But Sam, what kind of person would you be in the locker room celebration?
Bupensa. I'm carrying the boombox. I'm the vibes guy for sure.
I would say mascara. I'm a dancer. I would be dancing with mascara for
Well,
sure.
Zach, you got your party shirt
He's
on.
shaking
So
the
for all those who are
That's true.
listening, go over to YouTube. Zach's wearing his party shirt for the celebration.
Unofficial party shirt.
Unofficial party shirt. But man, can you imagine if they sold those goggles though to the public? I think they would sell out. Like all the people at Perfect North would be wearing the FC Cincinnati skier goggles. It would
without
be
a doubt.
incredible.
Tri-state area is going crazy for those.
So kind of as we mentioned, the team finally had to wrap up their celebrations. They get on the plane, and all the supporters groups all plan to go to the airport. Zach and I, again, were at Molly Malone's where the Pride was, and they were planning on going over. The team was, scheduled to arrive at 1 a.m. I think they got there even later than that, but what a celebration. I didn't get to go, but from all the looks of the photos, videos, Nick Haglin, is jumping around. Rumor has it that, the security people were telling them, don't, address the players, don't go up to them. They're tired. They want to go home to their families. The bus hadn't even stopped. Nick's jumping off. Vasquez is jumping off into the crowd. We're chanting all of our individual player chants. I think they did too. And just awesome moments. I mean, how many chances are you going to get to celebrate with the players like that? I think after the playoff win last year, we did the same, against New York Red Bulls when they came home, but to actually like win a trophy and to celebrate that with the players in that manner was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think when you kind of shouted out the supporters that were showing up to the game, I think them showing out, right, and being there when the bus parked, I think was really special to have people to celebrate with. Certainly, I'm sure meant a lot to the players, and like I said, the players that have been here for a while, and you could definitely tell it meant something to Hagelin for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean the people who've gone through, or the man who has gone through multiple wooden spoons. I think I mean
Yeah.
that payoff is huge. I mean I think anybody would probably do the same thing that Nick did. But yeah, I mean it's great seeing like you guys have both said, just the all of Cincinnati just up in celebration for him. So we couldn't be obviously more ecstatic. So it's great that Cincinnati at least has a winning team this year.
First professional championship in Cincinnati since 1990 when the Reds won the World Series. Sam referenced the 2018 team that we talked about, technically semi-pro. So this is the first professional trophy. Yeah, I saw Brandon Vasquez holding a sign that said started from the bottom, now we're here. So just a special moment. So I have a trivia question for you guys, kind of related to all of this, but how many current FC Cincinnati players have previously won the Supporters Shield?
Not including Nick Haglund, who you just named earlier.
We're going to do people that have won it before. Obviously, this one doesn't count, but all the people that have done it prior.
So I'm going to go. It's hard. Like a lot of guys we've gotten from like overseas or are from Latin America. So they trying to think of like MLS guys who have been around a while. So I'm going to go with 4 as my guess. And those 4 are going to be Gaddis, Hagland, I think Vasquez won one, and then I'm going to go Baji, maybe.
All right, Zach, what about you?
I was actually going to say 3, and probably those same 3 minus Baji. That's exactly what I was going to say.
All right, so we got 4 and 3. Stay tuned to the end of the episode. We'll give you an answer for this question. So stay tuned. We're gonna have a break here from word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
So Agility is a technology-driven soccer training facility. So we offer 6 facets of training. That would be Tech Touch with ball launchers that work on your first touch, the TSZ, which is the ESA equipment and working on decision making. We also have a circuit. Circuit training would be taking the ESA equipment to the next level. It's kind of like a soccer obstacle course. Then we offer neuroscience training with our reflection tools, working on processing things a little bit faster, hand-eye coordination and such. We offer skills classes, which is your typical core skills training. Lots of people still enjoy that, so we work on a lot of attacking 1v1 skills. And then we also offer athlete development. So our athletes come here and they work on speed, agility, quickness, explosive movements, really just learning how to move and function a little bit better as an athlete.
Welcome back, everyone. We are pumped to come to you guys tonight / I guess now Tuesday morning, chatting about FC Cincinnati as a trophy winning club. No more hate online, from all these other teams, other fans. I don't want to hear it. We got a trophy. So all this other talk about, wooden spoons and everything, like we got our plate. We can eat Skyline off our plate. Maybe we have the wooden spoons to use for it, but hey, at least we got utensils now for it. So, guys, I'm just so pumped. I was giddy the past several days. I'm super excited to get my hands on the Supporters Shield shirt that they're selling. These shirts are like going like crazy. Yesterday they sold out in like 20 minutes. So hopefully at the game on Wednesday night, they're going to be selling more of them, because I just would love to get part of that. I mean, just to be a part of this team and everything that's going on, it's awesome. And to be able to cover it with you guys and talk about it has just been so fun this whole year. So shout out to you both real quick, because it's just been fun. It's been a good ride.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I still don't even know what this shirt is. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen what it advertised or anything. It's just like I get a tweet saying, "Hey, they're on sale," and then they're sold out like immediately. So not quick on the draw, I guess.
They underestimated the amount of
Ryan,
fans that would want them, I guess. I don't know. They sold out that fast, but maybe they couldn't
Well, I saw
them out.
Yeah, Pat put a photo up of people just lined up like building after building, like just wrapping around on the sidewalk.
Yeah. But I don't think they had enough time to like produce, hundreds, because they probably didn't expect in the past. I'm sure other teams haven't bought up the merchandise like we have, but we kill it. We're top 5 in merchandise every year. So I don't know. Sam, I like that jacket though. I think, was that from your intern year?
Yeah. Official stuff.
I love it. So let's get into it here real quick. You guys want to do cards of the week or jersey swaps first? What are you thinking? I want to save the jerseys for last.
Cards now.
Yeah, let's throw out some cards real quick before we get to the good stuff. So, Sam, what was your card of the week?
Yeah, card of the week was a little interesting watching Insigne versus these Toronto FC supporters. So he was getting some, into a verbal kind of altercation with Insigne and some of the fans. His wife and 2 kids were in the box with him as well. So not a very good scene for Toronto and their fans. The man, 25 mil from Napoli, 4 goals, 4 assists this season, only 19 games. He's missed a lot of games due to injury. But still, like, as the captain and as the face of this team, and you got to take it on the chin a little bit better. I mean, not a good look, like I said, for Toronto or Insigne. What was going through my head was I can't ever imagine Lucho ever doing something like this.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've seen Lucho on his suspension and everyone is like, free Lucho. And he's walking around the stadium and everyone's like worshiping the guy. But to have Toronto fans like yelling at him and his family in the box. And then I think I saw that he didn't even get to come back outside. Like he had to like stay in the suite because it was going to get more heated probably.
Well, even during our dog days, like nobody was dogging Lucho like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Zach, any thoughts on it?
It's just egregious. I've seen videos like that, like across the like soccer world. And I mean, I'm a pretty patient guy. I just never could imagine myself doing that. I mean, they're paying to see you and like all this stuff. And it's like, you're the entertainment. Don't, act like that towards the fans. If they're upset, like you said, take it on the chin. You got to pull out your stops and play better, I guess.
This guy has just been all over the news for them, disagreeing with Bob Bradley, their former coach, not wanting to play with the interim coach, now yelling at their fans. I don't know how much longer he's going to be there, or Bernadeschi, but hey, it doesn't matter. We're not supporters of Toronto. So Zach, what was your card of the week?
Yeah. So at Molly Malone's, Ryan and I my wife gave me this idea because she was pretty upset about it. I don't know if you knew that, Ryan. This guy, I don't even know where he came from. Was he sitting behind us? Maybe.
I think
don't
he
know.
was. Yeah, he was everywhere though.
He just kind of walked up behind Emily with his hands on her back and just started mumbling something
after Vasquez scored. Actually, yeah,
I can't remember when it was, but yeah, I think it might have been after our goal. But yeah, even Ryan and Lauren were like, what's this guy saying? And it's a British chap and you could not understand a word he was saying. Like you could smell the like liquor under his breath, and he was, I don't know. It just was the most strangest situation. And then apparently the waitress knows the guy by his first name. So he's obviously a regular. So, he's fraternizing with, I guess the locals. So I don't know. He eventually left, kind of hopped in an Uber. I think they called for him. So it was just a weird, strange interaction. Wife was upset about it, but we moved on.
The good and the bad of the soccer fans, I guess, or the soccer faithful, that sometimes spills over into a lot of nonsense. Let's just say, I think he had an Irish accent, so maybe they are built different over there, but the dude still had the peace of mind to like tell the waitress that like, hey, I'm getting an Uber, I'm getting out of here. Like he at least had that peace of mind, but it was a very interesting situation.
I was just waiting for him to just kind of throw up on me or something.
To ruin like the Shield supporting night. Like we just won and this guy does this.
That situation, I mean, I'm sure if you go to Europe, like that stuff happens like every day. Probably on a non-game day, like they're just talking about their team, but probably every match day over there.
Yeah. I thought it was funny, but my wife didn't, so I give it a card.
Wife says give it a card, you gotta give it a card.
Exactly.
Ryan, what was your card?
My card of the week was Junior Moreno's mustache. So our FC Cincinnati midfielder decided to change up his look before the Shield clinching moment. He's going to have a lot of eyes on him, so why not go with a different look? So yellow card to Junior Moreno's mustache. But hey, man, they won. Maybe the mustache is staying for the rest of the year because of this now. It was just funny to see. I mean, everyone was pointing it out. We knew right away. We follow the players enough to see that like something was different about him. And I was like, oh man, that mustache is very interesting.
Right. I think we noticed, I think it was right before kickoff or right as they were kicking off, they like flashed like a shot at
Yeah,
him and he
right.
like looked at the bench and he like what winked and like kind of like stroked his like I think he did something like that. It was great.
Oh, between his
It was no
mustache.
longer Junior Moreno. Junior Moreno.
I was gonna say between him and then Lucho tries to get a foul called and he's doing the Italian thing again. It was just, I don't know. They just have alter egos, I guess, on the field. It was funny. I wanted to shout out that because we've been talking all year about how we were gonna do yellow and red cards for different hairstyles and stuff like that. And this was a perfect opportunity to shout that out. Sam, I can't wait for you to put a photo of that
we
in
had
our
talked about,
reels on Instagram.
well, I think earlier this season we were talking about Lucho's haircut that he had. He started with the
Sure.
slick back, and we were like, "What's going on here?"
That's true. That's a good point. But I just had to shout that out. But I mean, we can all say like that's a very light yellow card. There's all these good things that have come, from this game and everything. Sam, kind of lead me into now your jersey swap of the week.
Yeah, gotta go with Brandon Vasquez on this one. Fourth MLS brace for him in his career, second in goals behind Lucho. Just he's starting to get more of those close to goal poacher type goals that we're used to him seeing, right? And I think he's at his best when he's being a pest around the goal. Not to rhyme there, but yeah,
Bunch of Dr. Seuss is here.
I just think those are the goals that we expect from him because Barreal is going to whip those crosses in, and who needs to be there every single time? It's Vasquez. So very proud to see him gaining even more confidence game after game, but he's got to put those one-on-one goals away. That's all my only takeaway. Other than that, great jersey swap of the week for me.
I think he's got 15 goals in all comps for FC with the US. He's up to, I think, like 17 or 18 for the calendar year, which is impressive tally for him. He had a kind of down MLS year, but in all the other competitions has really shown out in big moments, tournaments, international games. So great shout on him. I hope that he continues this now into the last couple games and into the playoffs because we need him. We need him in these big, big moments. You need your star striker to be involved. And I could tell, I don't know if you guys noticed, but like the games that he's more interested in, he posts more about. So his Instagram was like basically kind of giving away like, hey, I'm about to show out tonight. So that kind of was the, tip of the cap to me that he was going to show out. I should have bet on it maybe. Zach, what about you? What was your jersey swap of the week?
I was actually gonna say something good about Vasquez. I mean, he's great and all. This past game, 2 goals. I mean, it was frustrating. I saw that in his stats in FootMob. I was looking through it, and he did 12% ground duels won, 2 out of 16. So like, he was not doing his hold up like he usually does, and he was the poacher that we thought he was. So he was the one poaching, getting those goals off the right in front of the box. I mean, it was a great call out, Sam. But yeah, moving on to my jersey swap. I really wanted with the whole supporter shield and everything, I wanted to get a signature of the whole team. I think that would be better than a jersey swap. I mean, what better time to get, the whole team together, right? But no, joking aside, I think Mascara, he's my our son, right? 13 duels won. He got a couple great tackles. I think there were some where they dribbled through and he was like one of the last defenders, and he's got those great technique with sliding. Love to see it. Love good tackling from a defender. Almost got a goal. You know how amazing that would have been for him to get a goal with his foot. I mean, that's great, right? Who doesn't love that from a defender? And then and an assist. I mean, he got the assist for Brandon Vasquez's first goal, so you don't see that every day from a center back either. And he's just fun to watch, smacking people left and right. It's kind of like the old Waston of the day. Um, I think throughout the year he's been great. God love him. Yeah, you
Good
guys don't
shout.
have
Good
much to
shout.
say.
Absolutely.
I just
We're
saw that.
speechless. We were speechless. I
No.
was gonna let Sam comment.
Yeah, I thought that was a good shout. I he as far as loans go, he has been above and beyond expectations. He's got a like if there was an award right at the end of the year for like best loaned in player or like best player not to ever return to FC Cincinnati ever again, like that would be him, because if Europe has not taken notice of his defense in the MLS this season, then they are not obviously watching. It's been incredible to see, especially after injury too, to kind of get back on the same page, same player, like pretty impressive.
Our son, for sure. Your son or our son, he's always going to be our son. He's always got a special place in our hearts because he's helped us to secure Supporter Shield. So we'll always remember him for that. I hope we can keep him longer. I'm very doubtful just because of his upside, as Sam was kind of referencing, but great shout, Zach. I mean, he's been such a solid player to bring in this year because we needed him in a pinch, to be honest. We didn't have another center back for a long time, and they brought him in on loan. And it's like this unproven player with injury concerns, and he's just been a stud. He's been so good. But anyway, my jersey swap of the week is going to be Aaron Bupenza. I think now for the second time I've kind of honored him, but dude deserves all the credit. We give him such a hard time in the last several weeks. He's got 5 goals in 8 games now and had the Shield clinching goal. I saw the best tweet of the whole weekend was Boop called Shield, and I just think that's incredible. What a player, what a great touch, like Sam had mentioned, to set himself up for a good left-footed side of the net shot. Seems to be enjoying the crap out of the team. I mean, look at him celebrating in the locker room, in the airport. I mean, he was jumping around. He was in the center of all of it. Boop, there it was. I mean, that was amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, the fact that Bupenza has the game-winning goal that should have been Vasquez's. It looks like you can very clearly see, who has that European experience rather than who doesn't, right? And Bupenza, to your point, Ryan, as much kind of flack as we give him for, there are points in this season so far where he needs to finish a little bit better. He shows up on the best stage, on the biggest stage when we need him. Supporter Shield game-winning goal, like just incredible. And I can't wait to continue to watch, as he gets more comfortable in the squad, dances a little bit more in the squad, does a couple more flips, shows off the lion on the back. Like, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Man, I can't follow that up, but yeah, I mean, Bupenza is he's fun to watch, honestly. I love his movement off the ball. He's wicked with his celebrations. He's the first one, it seems like, to every goal scorer, like hugging him or doing something with him.
That's true.
Like,
that's a good point. He is.
I think he's a good locker room player with that.
He's the vibes guy. I told you, he's the vibes guy. He's got the boombox.
He had the boombox going. I don't know what they were playing in the locker room, but I mean, the vibes were there. It was great. So looking forward, I guess, to, this Wednesday's game against New York Red Bulls. I mean, we finally get to celebrate the trophy. So after the game, for all those going, stay after. There's going to be a huge trophy presentation on the field. Unbelievable just accomplishment. For as much as I wanted them to win at home, I'm glad they won in Toronto. I'm glad it just happened, but to celebrate at home in front of Frankie Amaya now is just going to be just so funny. So our former draft pick from 2020, our first round draft pick, now plays for New York Red Bulls. Do you guys think he should be the one that takes the team photo or something like that? What do you think?
I think he should. So obviously there's a sword pull right? But then somebody has to hold the shield. He needs to stand there and hold the shield for the sword puller, and then the sword puller grabs their sword, grabs the shield. Thank you, Frankie. I appreciate you for
Hey,
holding that.
has Gary ever pulled the sword? I feel like Gary's
He
got to
needs
pull the
to. So that's
sword
what I was
and
going to
carry
ask.
his
So
shield.
I've got a couple options here for the sword pull. I want to know what your
All right,
thoughts
let's
are.
hear
I
it.
was just off the top of the brain. Okay.
Let's hear it.
So first one, Jeff Birding.
We have more winning to do.
The second one would be Carl Lindner. I don't know. Maybe, just two front office people. The third one I thought about though. Do we get a supporter out there doing it though?
Ooh, I think it's going to be a leader of each of the supporters groups that pull it together because they won the supporters shield.
Oh, I think it's
That
gonna be
would be
that.
cool.
It's going to
That-
be each
that
of
would
the
be cool.
leaders of, Diane Dolstead, the Pride, like Brigade, Vanguard, Hangar 937, like get all the leaders out there to pull it. And then, maybe give them the shield a little bit prematurely, but just to kind of honor that. Or you bring them out onto the field when the team now lifts it. Now they bring the leaders of the supporters group over to take it back to the Bailey. How cool would that be?
Oh boy.
After the game though, you have to put the stage in front of the Bailey. Like that has to happen.
That would be a cool spot. I think they'll go like midfield.
Can you imagine
just
the
because,
background of that?
Oh,
Take the
that'd be
goals down.
incredible. Incredible. Yeah, I really wanted a tifo for this game, but I think it's too quick to come up with one. You're gonna see a lot of like fake shields in the Bailey. I feel like I think that would be really cool if they like had fat heads that they could pass out. So like everyone is holding a shield above their head in the Bailey. That'd would be
cool.
really cool.
Well, it's the Bailey.
Ooh, it's where we keep our
shout out to the
weapons,
intro
right?
video every time you come to TQL Stadium.
I've only heheard it like 30 times now. The Bailey.
Think I'm a
3,000 strong.
I feel like a medieval historian right at this point.
That's right. We could probably tell the history of all of medieval times, but that's hilarious. Yeah, I think if we all had like shields in the Bailey though, like above our heads, that would be just incredible. That'd be so funny. But I'm excited. Go ahead.
No, so obviously, yes, super excited about the celebration. But the funny thing is, like, we still have a game. Like, we still have a game to play. Like,
true.
it's true. So I was looking at the stats for this, and it's so interesting. Obviously, we won against Red Bulls earlier this year. Shout out to Obi. That was his game winner. Pretty crazy. But 4 wins each, 3 draws each, and 11 goals each between these two teams.
Wow.
In their matchups in MLS history, which is so weird. But I'm really stoked to see FC Cincinnati getting over 200 all-time MLS goals. I saw that this past game with the 3 goals, they're at 197 right now, and we could reach 200 MLS goals. Let's get it done.
Does that show the goal differential?
We don't need to talk about that.
We don't need to see
honestly.
The 200 all-time goals. So it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. I think Pat's gonna roll out a pretty solid lineup still, though. Do you guys feel like he's gonna play some? I feel it'll be a mix. Lucho's not gonna start. Barrial is not gonna start. It'll be Halsey in the back. It'll probably be Kubo. But he still wants to go. So if you guys saw after the game, he still wants to go for the most points in MLS. And if we win the final 3 games, we eclipse the mark for most points of any team, which I think he's still wanting to go for. We're gonna throw out a strong lineup still.
Yeah, I'd want to see like a Pinto, maybe like Angulo midfield. That's what I'd love to see.
Yeah.
I mean, are we just talking starters or are we talking full match here at this point?
Mainly starters, I would say, who's going to roll out.
Yeah, I think that would be, I guess, to both of you guys. I mean, it'd be great to get just minutes, kind of rest the starters, let them come in maybe 60 minutes or so, give the bench like good solid 60 minutes of play. I mean, I think that we can pull out a win with that.
Oh, for sure. Our second line is almost as good as any other team. like you said, 60 minutes, I think would be a good mark. And then maybe you get some other guys in for the final 30, but the game in Miami, they're not going to press as hard. So I feel like this game is going to be at home in front of our fans. You're going to put out a good lineup. Away at Miami, you're still going to put out a decent lineup, but it's hot. You don't want to risk injury. You're one step closer to the playoffs at that point. And then you come back home for Atlanta. Then you start your starting lineup again to get them rearing up for, hey, let's get back to game speed. Let's get back to our full lineup and getting used to play with each other. So that's how I would handle these next 3 games. Hybrid one, okay lineup against Inter Miami, and then full starting 11 against Atlanta at home.
2 hybrids, 1 full. Is that what we're going with?
Yep. So let's have this debate here now, because we've won Supporters Shield, and I've been waiting for this all day to chat with you guys about this. There's this big feud right now on Twitter about what is the better trophy, or even if the Shield is considered a trophy in the MLS, but Supporters Shield versus MLS Cup. So again, Supporters Shield, best team during the regular season in MLS. MLS Cup is a tournament style that now at the end of the year, teams have the opportunity to win this trophy. And for a while, it has been signified as the better accomplishment or trophy for the MLS season. Hence why teams will historically get the star above their badge for winning MLS Cup. I have a proposal on how we can fix and change this issue, but I would love to hear from you guys first what your thoughts are.
Yeah, right off the bat, I'm going to have to agree with Pat Noonan. Pat said Supporters Shield is more relevant than the MLS Cup, and here is why I agree with him. Best team in the league over 34 regular season matches, and this year was arguably the craziest MLS schedule of all time. You not only have the entire MLS regular season, but you also have the Open Cup, you also have the Leagues Cup, and throw international play in there as well. It was just insane. And that's coming off also a World Cup this past December.
That's true. Good point. Zach, what about you?
I would have to agree as well. I think Supporters Shield trumps the MLS Cup. I think, in my opinion, when you got 18 of 29 teams, that's 9 teams from each conference out of 15 advance. And a team with a record of 11, 4, and 16 as it stands right now could essentially win. In my opinion, I don't think you can't say that's a better trophy because that team won. I don't know. It's just, I think they need to make it so at least 5 make it more difficult to get into that MLS Cup playoff. I think at least 5 advance, 10 total, and make that last 2 teams do a playoff into that. So I don't know. I think really Supporters Shield, you've got 34 games. I get how it's unbalanced, but everybody's got 34 games, and everybody's got the same breaks, same I guess tournaments mid week and whatnot. It's more or less fair. I mean, take it what you will.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go on a rant here, so just get ready for this. In every other league around the world, the team that wins the league is that's it. That's their pinnacle, in the Premier League. If you win over that amount of games, you're the champs. Any other league, Germany, all of it. I mean, yes, they have tournaments, but that is not weighted the same. So if you want to say balance, if you want to say the uneven, fact that we don't play all the teams twice. Well, if you go to MLS Cup and you're going to say that's the better tournament, that's the most unbalanced schedule I've ever seen, because you're only playing Eastern Conference or Western Conference teams until the final. And to the point that somebody actually made, I think is a really good point here. How many times have they changed the format of the MLS Cup? How many times have they done it? So don't tell me that this is the better thing if they keep having to change the format, where every single year there's always crowned a league champion because of how they've won over 8 months in all of the league through, like Sam said, multiple competitions, international breaks. That is a adjustment thing that the coaching staff, the front office has to deal with, transfers in and out over a full season, versus now you have your roster set. To Zach's point, you're in 8th or 9th place. You've been terrible all season and you catch fire for 3 or 4 games. And now you get a star above your badge. But we've been solid for 8 months through all of this, injuries, everything. That's the better accomplishment. 1,000%.
I don't know if American sports fans are going to love this take or not, but being different as far as like, as we go in American sports, like we pride ourselves on being different, not being complacent when it comes to, you know, oh, you're first. Well, you got to make it to the playoffs. And then, you know, now you have to win the World Series. Now you have to win the Super Bowl. Like all this. Soccer is different than what it is in Europe and what it is all across the world. Why? Like, why can't it be the same? Like, why can't we just do what everybody else does? Because it's not our sport. Like, it really isn't. So if we're going to adopt something, let's adopt that. Like, I understand the whole, that's a whole nother conversation about relegation and everything else. But as far as the table itself, if you're going to have a table of teams and you're going to call it the table, let's make it to where every single team can be up for the regular season title, which they are.
Right.
And then we see who the best team is at the end of the day. Not, to Zach's point, 9 teams on each side.
Well, or you stack the best 16 teams in a tournament style 1 to 16. So that way it's fair, Western, Eastern, you have more opportunities to play teams from the other conference. Everyone's complaining that it's imbalanced schedules. More, right? What's that?
I said then the Leagues Cup would mean more.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the idea of that, right? And that's what I think they're trying to build. But it's just, it's not there yet. And I think, you know, a lot of St. Louis fans out there are like kind of, I would hate to say it, butthurt because they didn't win the Shield, but we're in first place in the West. It's like, well, yeah, you want to talk about imbalance. How about you play the East teams, which are destroying each other, who have more points? Try playing more of them. You've lost to Nashville. You've lost to Chicago. You know, maybe we lost you in one situation, which you're going to hang your head over us for whatever. We got a trophy and you don't right now. So sorry about it.
You know, sometimes America is wrong or can be wrong.
Yeah.
And I think Sam's right. You know, I think sometimes you just got to follow where things are going well and doing things right, or just doing things better. And I think, in my opinion, that's Europe right now. And I'm just going to say I don't really like the playoff setting in any sport for that matter. I mean, I think really the best team is the team who wins the most, right? Throughout the season. Like, in what world is that not the winning team? So,
right. You've had the most wins over the course of the year.
Yeah.
Well, the whole premise and the whole Americanized version of sports is the reason we have playoffs is because of this, right? Is because it gets more money in your pocket, more TV deals, more sports on
pinnacle
TV.
Game, one big game that is the Super Bowl instead of, well, now you watch the final game of the year and that's it. You know,
yeah,
so,
FC Cincinnati against Toronto. Like that's not, you know what I mean? Like, as far as an American sports fan,
right?
You're like, that's your final? Like,
right.
Really?
Right. But my proposal and what I think would be really cool, because I think they need to change this. And I'm not just saying this because we won recently and we have a trophy now, but the whole thing with the stars above the badge, right? Let's talk about that. If you look in the Premier League or any other team, I guess, in Europe, they play in their each individual league, and then they usually qualify for a region-wide tournament, Champions League or Europa League. If you've won the Premier League in England, you get the stars above your crest, right? I propose if you win the tournament, whichever one we're going to decide holds more weight, or Supporter Shield, we can consider this as the league's best team, do Supporter Shield here, an MLS Cup on the side badge, either on, you know, this shoulder, have the trophy, and then the number of how many MLS Cups you've won. If you're going to say that's a tournament thing, and then this is the best team, over your crest.
I'm not against it.
I mean, because like for Real Madrid, they've won 12 Champions Leagues. They have the Champions League trophy with 12, written in it. I think that would be a great idea for a tournament styled thing. And then your league amount above it.
Do they have they have that for normal season games or regular season games?
I don't know if they wear them for that or not. I think Sam's right. I think only in the competition where would they have it on the side. But yeah. I thought it was a good idea to at least kind of profile tournament, league or domestic competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to depend from club to club, though. It's a hard thing to kind of make consistent across the board, unless it is like a deep rooted, cup or deep rooted.
If you're not going to have relegation, you're going to have the same teams then. So you have more opportunities in America too to have trophies compared to Bayern Munich always winning. Manchester City's always winning. There's more opportunities for that to be displayed. So
that would be the argument against relegation.
Yeah. So let me give you the trivia answer here before we close out. So again, the question was, how many current FC Cincinnati players had previously won the Supporters Shield? Sam, I believe, had locked in 4. Zach had locked in 3. You guys were close, but no cigar. It was 5. You ready for the 5?
Yeah.
Evan Loro, the third string keeper, won for New York Red Bulls. Matt Miazga has won for New York Red Bulls twice. Ray Gaddis, Sergio Santos, and there's one more. Can you guys think of the last one?
Hagelin.
Nick Hagelin. You got it. At Toronto.
I'm surprised. Yeah. You say Gaddis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said Gaddis earlier. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. So 5 guys had previously won, but which is kind of interesting.
I forgot about Miazga.
Yeah, Miazga played for Red Bulls for a while there, but
I forgot about that.
Just an awesome episode chatting with you guys again. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. FC Cincinnati again, won our first trophy. We're super excited. But hey, this ain't it. We got more games to play. We have a tournament to win now too. So let's just end the argument of all of it and just win MLS Cup too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think to your point earlier, we have some spoons. We have a plate. Now let's get us a cup.
I like that.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I like that. So for those who are going to the game Wednesday night, enjoy it. Enjoy the celebration. Enjoy it with all the other supporters, because that's what this is really about, this trophy. And this city coming together, because, the Reds just got knocked out, of their playoff contention. The Bengals aren't doing well, but hey, these guys right here, FC Cincinnati, are holding it in for the city. So we still have time, man. We still have several more games to win. And, as Jeff Birding said, we have more winning to do. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll chat with you guys next week.